Happy day, everybody. We are H&D Abroad. I am Herman.
And I am Dee. So we are going live on location. So y'all just work with us.
Yeah.
We did not want to miss our the time that we go live every Saturday. So um, I'm we are H&D Abroad. I'm Dee.
And I am still Herman.
Yeah, and so we help couples choose moving abroad as a plan A. So if you are looking to improve your lifestyle of healthy living and create generational wealth, this is your channel. We are your community.
And we're doing it in real time.
Absolutely. We have not chosen a place to move to.
Correct.
But as the title tells you, today, y'all gonna help us plan this scouting trip to Spain. So, I am a contractor, and so I am really attracted to Spain. As you all have learned, we have residency in Mexico. So if I'm already going to learn Spanish, and I know there are differences between the Spanish speaking countries, we I want to consider Spain. So um, learned about it in high school as a part of my language training. So the coastal area is where I'd really like to be. And so if in the comments today, you guys can kind of load us up on what you know about Spain. If you have lived in some areas, please tell us about them. I'm going to share a few of the areas that have been attractive to me. And Herman?
So I'm in the exploration stage of Spain. I honestly had never considered Spain as an option. I, I, I think Spain is beautiful from what I've researched. But I don't know, again, I'm a boots on the ground kind of guy.
Yeah.
So some of the information will be relevant to me once we do some work. But I'd also like to know, what would I be looking for? Okay, I I am trying to expand possibilities in remote work. That's a big deal with trying to find uh, decent employment options, because we still are in the working part of our lives.
Right.
We are, I guess I should reiterate that if people don't know. We haven't moved into retirement. We will still be employed. We will be retired from large scale corporate working,
Yes.
but we still will be working towards building income and building our generational wealth, not just for ourselves, but for the three young adults in our world.
So I think for Herman, the thing that I'm really excited about for Spain for him is culinary. So we've watched a lot of the Netflix shows that talk about the indigenous cooking, or the history behind a lot of the traditional dishes. I know we watched the one about paella. And so, I mean, whether it's rabbit and different kinds of meats, plus the cooking process, I know is probably pretty exciting to him. Most of y'all know I'm plant based, so maybe there'll be a vegan option for me. We'll see.
Well, I also am becoming more and more aware of how the African heritage has influenced cultures around the world. So part of my chase culinarian wise is to find its existence and influence regardless of where we are. And there are a lot of Spanish culture type dishes that have semblances in the African diaspora. So that wherever we land, that's a big chase heart bit for me. So that
Yeah.
I do agree with that. That is a part of the lure wherever we go. Excuse me. And Spain is included in that process.
Absolutely. So don't forget in the comments,
Excuse me.
you can definitely ask questions. We're going to try to toggle between um, so that we can kind of keep up with the questions you're asking or the suggestions that you all are making to us today. So part of my research, as you all know, I am, or we're both wanting to connect to the community. So I want to shout out um, the Black in Spain group
Mm-hmm.
because I was asking questions about, who can do my hair? Can I find certain hair products? And so those are spaces, but also asking, what is it like to live like as an American expat in a different country as a Black woman
Mm-hmm.
in Spain, and so as a Black family in Spain. So the community aspect, we're definitely looking forward to continuing on the ground because the online has been really helpful to us.
I am learning to broaden my viewpoint about um, African Americans in Europe.
Mhm.
Um, it's easy to feel, as they say, as my kids say, some kind of way with the history of Africa and Europe that isn't always addressed.
Mhm.
And so moving into those areas, there's a bit of concern about the acceptance still as a person of color in those areas. We had a conversation with Amos of Ag3 Family,
Mhm.
and they live in Sevilla. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Correct.
Hey, and they live in Sevilla, and he talked about um, the acceptance and the comfort and the safety. He talked about his oldest child, which I believe is early teen, like 13,
Mhm. Mhm.
and his going to and from his sporting events on his own in their community. And
Safety.
safety is a primary conversation in all conversations of African Americans moving abroad,
Mhm.
of people of color moving abroad into spaces where we are even sometimes even more of a minority than we are in the States. And so that is an area of concern to me as a husband and as an individual. Um, so trying to be more accepting of that possibility.
Mhm.
And again, being in the space and observing the space and walking through the space helps a little bit as well with recognizing. I'm an observer by nature.
Mhm.
Janika will tell you, I'm an observer by nature. I look and turn my head when we're conversating. And we have to do these lives and interviews in confined spaces because anybody moving around, I'm looking and seeing the whole time I'm any place. A part of that is learning safety,
Mhm.
being aware of what's going on in surroundings. I went out to eat this afternoon and where we are, and the whole time I'm eating, I'm turning, I'm looking, and learning to be,
Relaxed.
yeah, with peace within myself in a space where I don't
Mhm.
feel I have to look over my shoulder. That's a learned practice that I'm trying to build up to. So I think this smart lady and I can work anywhere. I think bigger issues for me is adaptability, community,
Mhm.
and integration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking for a country that has access to a lot of the places we'd like to either just vacation or visit or
Hmm.
move.
Hmm.
And I know that Spain could be a good base. for us
I have heard that.
to, the trip is definitely going to cost less. It's going to take less time than what it would be to leave the US to go to places in Northern Africa,
Hmm.
in Central Europe. That we have a desire to, kind of see and experience for ourselves.
Hmm.
So, that convenience, I know Adelia has mentioned that before, and that's why I added it to my list. I was like, yes, we could visit Saudi Arabia, we could
Hmm.
visit the UAE, because we're in a place that is well traveled. And that's not just by plane. A lot of Europe is accessible to by what do you call that? By
By train.
by the goodness, it's the fast train.
Hmm.
And so we have, Alyssa, you have family in France.
Hmm.
I have family in Germany.
Hmm.
And so, y'all, if I could be closer to my cousins, that would be so cool. So that's kind of why.
And that's been to add to that, having a place that's I guess you can use the word a hub
Hmm.
for travel has been one of our criteria in terms of looking at places we might move. Is this a place from which I can easily um, travel to
Hmm.
other areas? Is the expense of travel, is the expense of travel and the accessibility of travel easy from this place, in addition to,
Hmm.
is it accessible to things like work and walkability? and
Yes.
and, and one of the things that I have heard, and again, hearsay until we're on the ground, is that there, some of the areas that we're looking at in Spain meet that criteria, and that is a big deal because I still would like to travel throughout Europe and Africa, and if I have an option to do so at a lower cost expense and more readily.
Hmm.
So not, once a year I get a chance to try to build them some money and go somewhere, which is kind of the struggle we face now. But hey, every couple of months we might be able to take a train over to, or hop a plane to, or that's exciting to me.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exciting to me.
Well, the opportunity to either work for ourselves or to, for me to continue my work as a contractor, has me think about what we have learned about the day.
Hmm.
So, y'all, I am all about that siesta time. I need that long lunch. We might prepare a meal together or just have the opportunity to, with the people that we're meeting, to meet up
Hmm.
for a reasonable amount of time without feeling rushed.
Hmm.
And so the values that many of our peers have um, experience, I understand how it can impact when you're trying to engage in business. Like, I need you to make a repair for me, or I'm trying to meet up with someone, and that time is valuable, or that you've blocked, but
Hmm.
it occurs during a siesta time. Kind of having that relaxed frame of mind, we need that intention, and it seems that the culture is set up to build that into your day. And then what so we watch, I'm trying to shout out our channels, so we watch um oh goodness, Bea. Oh my goodness. I watch their channel all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna find it, but so they are in Valencia. So that is somewhere else that I'm looking at, but they have shared just about their going out in the street, kind of similar to what even Rashida has mentioned about, you just walking and then there's a whole like festival. There's people marching down the street, there's music, and you're like, what's the holiday? What's the, it's just like, I don't know. We're out here. That is really exciting to me, and I want to be a part of the culture.
And to bring some relevance to that, to who we are, um, in acceptance of where we are in age, as a child and even as a young adult, napping was not my thing. There's sunshine, there's things to do, there's days to go. I had a nap today. I, and I also, working lunches used to be a conference level thing. We're having a workshop and we're having a working lunch. We have worked ourselves into working through lunches even when we work remote from home. But we're so busy trying to meet tasks that we're eating and working. I've done some work for the post office, and postal workers who drive and eat.
You're eating on the run.
Eating on the run. I've worked nonprofit, and some of those nonprofit jobs were driving jobs, and you're eating on the run. Truck drivers eat on the run, and that is, there is as mental health workers, the mind body connection is a big deal with stopping and eating. And even as we've gotten older, we've tried to be more mindful about not looking at TV, or not even reading a book when we're eating, just eating to enjoy the food, maybe some conversation. And it is a challenge because our minds have been trained to be busy at all times. And so that siesta mindset, that this is a break, a come away from, a apart from, again, that those things are compelling to me as I'm learning to rebreathe.
Yeah. So as we are talking, everything is Bofo is the channel, one of the channels that I watch. I love their channel because they're like walking on the street, they're showing us the restaurants. Like, those are the kinds of experiences that tell me what it's like to live in a place. Even they've shared how they found their apartment. So we'll have this channel, that channel, and others that we've been watching. So if you're interested in learning more about moving abroad to Spain, that is super. Hopefully, that'll be helpful to you. So yeah. So we want to thank everybody that is joining us. Oh goodness, can we? Oh, cancel. All right. So we're learning in real time, as we said before. So if you have channels that you are following that we should be following, put those in the comments as well. We're always looking to find more people that are on the journey like we are, or that we could learn from. So one of the things we were waiting for in January is the digital nomad visa for Spain. So that opened one more door, with fewer requirements for moving and working. So that's the combination that we're looking for, is the opportunity to move and work. And so the digital nomad visa has expanded to several places. Ecuador, just what do you call that? Revamped the criteria for access to theirs. And Spain just opened theirs in January of this year. There was a lot of buzz and excitement about that. Which path we will choose will also have tax implications. And a time limit. So some of the things that we've been looking at in relationship to a digital nomad visa is, some places in the world, it can lead to that time in country for, getting you closer to permanent residency. Sometimes it can be renewed. So it can be 2 years, and then it can be renewed for an additional 2 years. For some countries, it's one and done. This is your opportunity to be in the country, and you need to make a then you need to get on a more permanent residency, or choose a residency path.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so digital nomad visa is really attractive to me in particular, because I know I want to do more work online, and I think that might be a selling point to an employer, as well. I've already got this stuff in place. There's fewer obstacles for me to jump right into work while we're working on an official work visa, and will allow me to change that residency path. So I mean, I think knowing that that option exists.
And I was going to say, I think it expands employability options.
Hmm.
So some, as I understand it, some. Um,
Digital nomad.
Thank you. Digital nomad visas have limitations. Each one is different depending on the country you're looking at. So you really want to explore what the if a country has a digital nomad availability option, and what its accessibility is,
The
what the
criteria.
criteria are, what it allows you to do and not do. Do not assume that, oh, I'm working whatever kind of thing, that I can do that and it fits into that criteria. Some of them have still some very strict criteria on what is allowed under that visa. But it does definitely expand the employment options, who I can reach out to as an employer, who you can reach out to as an employer, and say, I can do this job, and I can, because I live here and under these criteria.
And what we keep saying is, we may not have shared before that we have taught English online, love teaching English online, and can always, within the digital nomad space, use that as a reason we can be in country, in addition to fulfilling the income solvency requirement. So everything is BOFO has 2 sessions on the criteria. So, and they actually invited someone on. So we're starting with that person as our contact. And so, as there's probably no secret. If I'm watching Everything Is BOFO, we are also considering Valencia as one of the places. Not just because we have found community there, but the temperature is a little cooler there than it is in the other place that we're looking at, Sevilla. I've been watching the temperatures over the last few months, and there is like maybe a 10-degree difference since we've been watching since late fall in the US. With it being in the Northern Hemisphere, it's still going to follow the same cycle of seasons, but in watching there, we still know that July and August, it's going to be hot. And I don't know if I want to be in the heat. And so having the digital nomad status doesn't require that I stay in country, like it does in some places. Like I could maybe do what a lot of the local people in Sevilla do, and just spend some time out of the country, or take our 4-week vacation that happens with a lot of the employers there. Take that during the hottest part of the year. So
Having said that,
climate is on my, because it can't be too hot.
now, having said that, if you've had a chance to visit any of these places or you live in any of these places, tell us about the climate from your perspective.
Hmm.
We're from the South in the States, and heat in the South is usually associated with humidity. Heat in the Midwest is associated with just dry heat. Different kinds of heat feel
Hmm.
different.
Different.
I was out today here, and there was sun, and sun heat doesn't bother me per se, but um, I was visiting in Savannah
Savannah, Georgia.
about a
Yeah.
year ago in the summer, and it's one step cooler than Louisiana. And that we're talking about, you can feel the wet in the air, and there's a cloud in the sky,
Right.
like it's about to rain. I mean, because the humidity is heavy. But where we live in northern Alabama, in the valley that we live in during the summer, it is
Just
dry and
almost just like it takes your breath away.
right.
It's so hot.
The
So,
breeze is hot, the air, and it's actually hotter in the evenings after the
yes.
sun has gone down. The humidity is higher than it is during the day. So what is that temperature like if you've been to Sevilla or Valencia? What comparative heat rating would you give to what that heat is, so that we have kind of a thought process with that?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Yolanda, she's in the Exodus Summit group. Thank you, Yolanda. Her daughter lives in Alicante. So
Mm,
I, I love geography. And so knowing that it was about maybe 2.5 hours from Valencia, and she was kind of talking to me about, you get the combination of small town, but accessible to, beach areas. It's, accessible by train. So, all of those things are super duper important when you are looking at what, how am I going to get from, my smaller place to larger places? So we're supposed to, this Tuesday, I'm declaring it on this channel. We recorded getting our international driving permits.
and we're going to upload that experience.
Yes, but this guy says,
Yeah, it's
to the driving.
no, it's right now. It's for identity purposes only, and I am an assertive driver. I don't consider myself an aggressive driver. I'm an assertive driver. I grew up in cities that you need to get on down the road when you drive.
Right.
It's why Alabama drives me insane, because they're nowhere to go. But in some of the small travels we've had a chance to do thus far, I'm not aggressive enough
Enough, yeah.
in my driving, and I'm not sure that my temperament needs to be behind a wheel in an environment I don't understand, where people drive like that all the time.
Right.
So my international driver's license is for yes,
I,
my name is.
yeah, I'm not necessarily eager to drive. We got the international driving permit because if the if there were circumstances that required, I can't find, some other way to get to my destination, we
Mhm.
have what it takes. And it doesn't take a lot of time or money to do it before you leave the States.
Not at
So
all.
that's why we want to make sure that we're sharing it on the channel. But when you live in smaller towns, in the more,
Hmm.
outside of the main cities, you need to consider, how will I get from my residence to,
Right.
to where I need to go, whether that's, to the market, or to work. And, but the advantage is the cost of living.
Hmm.
So, it's definitely going to be different between Milan and Valencia. but I think considering some of the towns as well, I think are going to help our dollar go farther. And that is, the cost of living, y'all know, is also at the top of most folk lists, just to be conscious of what's going out the door for your main things like housing and
Costs.
food and utilities.
Hmm.
So we're trying to pay attention to those kinds of things. So please give us the deets, folk,
We've
because
all we,
we're planning this trip and want to be intentional about being prepared,
hmm
um, and then maybe not making decisions, but we're looking in the areas that the benefit of being on the ground is you get a feel for
hmm
what it's
hmm
like. So
it
Herman
yeah.
knows. Herman knows. I like to sleep in, y'all. I like to sleep in. But
No
if there
comment.
if there's a party downstairs, I can't sleep in. And then after, the celebrations, I'm not gonna function well.
and,
So
and therein lies, we can share this.
yeah.
Therein lies some of the conversation that we have about living. Um, Danika's Dee's choice is to live walkably in an
Mm-hmm.
area. I like to be a little more rural in an area. I don't want to hear the sounds of life outside my window. I'm a lighter sleeper. Even when I want to sleep late, life changing around me causes me to wake up. So it doesn't require just the party. Sometimes it requires just the rooster, and I'm awake. But I'm more likely to learn to get past the sound of the rooster than I am to get past the sound of the party. But then you tie into moving from a walkable area to having to get some level of vehicle. We've talked about the possibility of getting these little
Maybe
motors
the
and scooters that many of the countries have. I'm more open to that if we're more rural,
yeah,
and less open to that if we're more urban
yeah.
or more city based. I don't want to be on a little bike with how I've learned people are driving all over the world.
And safety, I know, is at top of mind for everyone. And I think it's comfort and comfortability being in a place and understanding, but you have to add in those costs as well. How
Hmm.
much is it going to cost me for, Uber or Uber equivalent in my place?
True.
Because
Or
you
if it's
know,
available at all. There
right.
are some places where it is not available. So,
Right. So yeah, so those are some of the things that we are thinking about. If you have suggestions, things that we should consider, please let us know in the comments. If you are joining us from the future, I want to say thank you for joining. If you are an Exodus sister, type in hashtag Exodus Summit in the chat, because we know that we're learning from so many people, and we're so thankful to have a community of folk that are considering moving abroad, who are either already there or like they are, within just a few months or a few weeks of making the leap themselves. So we thank you guys so much for being a part of our community. Anything else you wanted to add about Spain?
not directly, I want to specifically shout out Sister Soldier and Aging Grateful. I see them out here today on the
Yeah.
chats. I want to make
Thank
sure
you.
thank you
Thank
for coming.
you.
We're just, please drop comments in when we pass through Spain in the near future. We will
We'll have video to
we'll do
share.
some videos and
We'll
share.
do
Yeah.
we'll definitely do some walking tours just to give you guys an idea of some of the areas that we've considered. But yeah, transportation, green space, just I'm
I,
all for it.
I'm looking
So
forward to the train ride. I'm looking forward to the train ride.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks guys for joining us live today. Thanks for those, like I said before, that have joined us during the live. Thank you all that are watching in the future. Just let us know in the comments.
Please
And
remember
we
to.
appreciate your support. We are H&D Abroad.
I'm Herman.
And I'm Dee.
Please remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to hit that notification bell. And we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.